Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly update with Blaine and Katey.
I'm Blaine.
And I'm the other one, Katey.
And this show, of course, is to bring you the videos that we enjoyed this week, all regarding Japan.
And Japan travel and culture.
And starting us off this week, our first video is coming from the Anime Man. And he's joined by Chris, Charla, Emma, and Jake and Bake?
I was going to say Jake the Dake. I don't know
Jake
what
the Dake. And they're tackling different questions about stereotypes in Japan. And a couple of them I wanted to kind of touch on. One, of course, is going to be the idea that Japanese people are more submissive than others. While I would agree with them that the word shouldn't be submissive, like they were talking about, Japanese people want to read the room and they want to feel, okay, whose idea are we all agreeing on and what are we all going to do together? And when someone comes in as an American and our whole idea of, we're going to say what we think and we're going to want to do what we want to do, and so when you step into that culture and say, hey, this is what I think, this is what I want to do, whether you're at a restaurant or out with friends or whatever your group may be, suddenly you're setting the tone of the group. And so as a Japanese person, and we've had this a few times where they just bend over backwards to make sure that we're being taken care of because we're the guest in their country and they want us to have just the best time possible.
They really just want you to,
to feel good and feel welcome. And when you come in with like that American domineering attitude of this is what I want to do and this is what I want to happen, when people around you are then trying to make that happen because they want to be nice, they can come across as submissive. So that's where that one comes from. The next one I wanted to touch on was the rude restaurant idea. We've been to Japan now 5 times for the past 5 years. Yeah. And we have had one restaurant experience where we were turned away and it felt very rude. And kind of like they touch on, I think it's because the language barrier there, because we were way kind of out in the boonies, so there's not a lot of English speaking. Right. And so when we got there and they said, all full, and we're looking around and it doesn't look very full, and it looked like they would be ready to take us, they might not have been able to say, oh, hey, we've already sold out of whatever, you've come here for or whatever it was. But it felt really rude because all they said was like, hey, no, you can't, no. And even when you come and we're like, oh, hey, like, how long is the wait? We ask them in Japanese when they're like, oh, hey, we're all full up. We're like, oh yeah, how long's the wait? Just tell me how long it'll take. Don't assume that I don't know how to speak Japanese immediately. So that part I think is the part that is the problem. And it's like, I get it. Someone comes in as a tourist, but at the same time, it's like, just don't assume right off the bat that they don't know Japanese or that they don't know what's going on. Just talk to them a little bit and see if they pick it up. If they don't, then you can move into like, this is just a foreigner who has no idea what's going on and I have no idea what's going on and I can't serve them.
Yeah, they might be surprised.
But one restaurant in 5 years.
Honestly, it's rare.
It's very rare. It's very, very rare.
Nothing to worry about.
Lastly, they touch on the idea that Japanese people mix up L's and R's all the time. And this one is really simply explained in the fact that their alphabet doesn't have an L in it, and it does have R's. And so when stuff gets translated from English into Japanese and they write it in their alphabet, they have to write it with an R because what's another sound that sounds like an L that is in their language? It makes sense. We spent way too long on that one, but I feel like throwing our hat in the ring on the idea of stereotypes in Japan is just something that we should probably do.
Alright, and next we have Tokyo Creative with Aki Dearest, Tokidoki Traveller, and the Anime Man. And of course, they're talking about anime. Who would have thought? They give us their top 5 animes for beginners. So maybe if you're new to anime and you're not sure what you want to watch or what kind of genres are out there that are good for beginners, definitely recommend watching their video. I love My Hero Academia. It's one of my personal favorites. And I think that since Marvel movies are so popular, in Western culture, it's a really easy transition to get into My Hero Academia where they have sort of superpowers or quirks. So definitely check that one out if you guys haven't yet already. And with that, we want to give you our top 5 animes for noobs. So our first anime that we recommend is actually the first anime I ever watched because he showed it to me, Full Metal Panic. And it's a nice action-packed sort of story, a little bit of love, lots of mechs. It's just all around cool.
Our next one we're going to throw at you is going to be a twofer. We're going to give you Baccano and 91 Days. And the big reason for that is that both Baccano and 91 Days sort of carry that same aesthetic as the Godfather movies. And so it's a real easy jump for someone from Western culture to say, oh yeah, mafia movie, I get that. And where 91 Days is more of a mafia only, and it's all about bootlegging, and it's very much like you watch it and you're like, okay, this is like a different interpretation of like a Godfather type movie. Baccano takes that and says, hey, here's a bunch of gangsters, here's a bunch of mobsters, and then makes it very anime. And so if you want to get into something where it's animated and you just want to see what they're going to do with the story, go 91 Days. Otherwise, check out Baccano and just really enjoy yourself with that one. Next one on our list is going to be Amagi Brilliant Park. This one is one that's going to get you a little more accustomed to a little more of the weirder anime side of things, where things have a very specific overarching story, but you always feel like there's something else kind of going on, and there's something else kind of going on in this world. Really enjoy that one. The whole thing centers around a theme park and how you can make people happy.
And for our fourth recommendation on animes for beginners, we recommend Bento. And we've all had those times where we don't have any money, we need to get some food. Bento showcases that in the most hilarious way possible. And as soon as those discount stickers are on the bentos, all bets are off, and we're just fighting for them.
And our last anime to introduce someone into the genre is going to be Wolf Children. Now this one is just going to be a movie, so it's a little bit easier. There's not a huge time commitment. You can just sit down in about an hour, hour and a half, you can finish watching it. And the reason I say hour, hour and a half is because you're probably going to have to pause it and rewind it so you can take some time to cry.
It's so good, you guys. We can't even really tell you the premise, because as soon as we
you just
do,
have to watch it, yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna, you're gonna cry. And it's fine. Yeah. Just do it.
Then we had Tokyo Lens bringing us 12 things to do in Japan, one for each month. And this was a really fun video. He recommends if you're a little too early for cherry blossoms, go see the plum blossoms. They've got a little bit larger of a season. He touches on the different festivals in different months, even stopping in the summer with his Bonadori description. And we actually were there one summer walking through, where were we? We were staying in Ningyocho one summer, and we were walking down some side streets, and we heard some music and some drums, and there was a little festival going on, and as we got close, they came out and just grabbed us by the hand and pulled us into the dance circle and just made us do the dance with them. We had no idea what we're doing. No idea.
Literally grabbed us by the wrist and was like, come dance with us.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. You just watch the person in front of you and you do what they do.
I do have a challenge for you, though, Tokyo Lens. How about where to go in each month in Japan? Specifically, call out some different locations, because I know for us, February is the time to be in Hokkaido. You know, I want to get your take on that, though. Like, what month should I go to what location in Japan? Now for the lightning round. Starting our lightning round is abroad in Japan, giving us 24 hours in Osaka, where he explores Amerikamura as well as some other fun food locations in that beautiful, beautiful town.
Next, we have Kids Parenting Kids, and they give us a nice, beautiful cinematic overview of Nara. If you want to see some nice, sexy deer shots, here's your chance.
Next, we had Kathy Cat with Ask Japanese, answering some questions about salarymen, love in Japan, and she had some really fun answers, and her outfit makes her look like the kind of cookie you're not supposed to eat at grandma's house.
Then we have Alan Su, who gave us an incredible overview of the big three cities, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and he even added Nara in there. It's a really well-rounded 20-minute video. Just make sure you have your finger on the pause button to take some notes here and there, because he goes to a lot of locations.
Then we had Samuel and Audrey taking us on a trip down Osaka, eating some street food on the way. They had some kinoko-covered dango as well as some spicy skewer.
And then we have Paolo in Tokyo, who gave us his top 7 must-eat places to eat in Ame Yokocho, including some Chinese oden.
Then we had Emma, the Tokidoki Traveller, bringing us into her kitchen for some kitchen chats while she made some delicious apple desserts.
And if you weren't tired of Osaka yet, we have Charla's take on the 24 hours in Osaka video, where of course they had strong zeros on the street, and they learned some Osaka ben from locals, and they go shake some butte.
Then we had TabiEats bringing us the seasonal Starbucks drinks and treats from Japan.
Then we had Rachel and June give us a brief overview of the things they did not like in their apartment.
Then we had LoveLyzKelly with her friend Yuki Japan Fries going out to the Tokyo Dome area to show us some of the Christmas lights and some of the fun adventures there. Then StrictlyDumpling tried some gyoza, or as he called it,
Gyoza.
and then also tried some of that delicious fire ramen that looks so good and sizzly.
And then we have Find Your Love in Japan, who gave us his list of misconceptions about learning Japanese and why they're false. I definitely recommend that you try to learn some sort of Japanese before heading on your trip to Japan, even if, albeit very minimal, to say, you know, please, thank you, maybe how to order a few things.
Head on over to BlaineandKatey.com to find our list of helpful words and phrases.
And now it's time for
News in Japan. For our first story, Princess Mako of the imperial family has pushed her wedding date out to 2020. Now what's interesting about this is that Princess Mako is going to be marrying a commoner, and because of the rules from 1947 when the occupation started, when she marries a commoner, she's going to have to give up her royal status. Now, she will be the third princess in the past decade to do so. The previous one was Princess Ayako in this October of 2018, and before that was Princess Noriko in 2014. The rule in 1947 was designed to sort of shrink the imperial family down, so it cut off a number of royal lineages so that it was just the emperor and his family, and then this rule about how princesses have to give up their royalty when they marry a commoner was so that they could not increase the size of the royal family. The Japanese imperial line is the oldest imperial line in the world. They go back to 660 BC. And back in 2001, when the crown prince was having his first child and it was a girl, the discussion was, should they allow the princesses to retain their royalty if they marry a commoner so that they could still perform the royal duties, or should they give their royalty to their husbands so that they can join the royal family and sort of increase its size? Because right now the royal family is only 18 people. And the discussion for should they allow the princesses to keep their royalty ended in 2006 when the crown prince had a son. And so it could be a number of years before we actually discuss again, should the princesses keep their royalty? And I really want to pose this question to anyone who lives in Japan, who is Japanese, who maybe was born in Japan or born here in America but has ties still to Japan. Is the imperial family important enough that if the princesses get the ability to keep their royalty, that would mean something to an everyday Japanese female? Or is this something that would just really affect those 18 people that are in the royal family and whoever is in the royal family moving forward?
And our next story is surprisingly about sumo wrestling. For those of you who don't know what sumo wrestling is, it's an old Japanese sport, of course, where there's two men wrestling with very well-developed bodies and they shove each other around the ring and try to push each other out.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Unfortunately, there's a very large decline in participants of sumo wrestling, maybe because the training's too difficult, or there's a lot of regulations and restrictions on training, or there's a lot of regulations and restrictions about who can participate. Are only allowed to have one foreigner per stable or sumo wrestling household, and there's a maximum of 47 stables in Japan. And also, that includes women. Women are not allowed to participate in sumo wrestling because, well, tradition. There's a tradition that says there's a female goddess that resides inside the sumo wrestling ring. And if a woman were able to step inside that ring, she would just become super jealous and really mad. Recently, there has been a huge increase in sumo wrestling popularity, largely due to these sumo joshi or female fans. They have come to really love sumo, largely because a lot of sumo wrestlers' sleeping faces went viral. And for some reason, that was just really appealing to them. Their well-developed bodies, they mentioned, their cute faces. And so that begs the question, with a decline in participation, yet a rise in popularity, especially among women, will sumo as an association be willing to change the rules in order to have more foreigners and women participate more?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting question. Like both of the news stories today, how do you balance tradition with the modern world? And do you keep tradition for tradition's sake so that it stays whole? Because that's one thing that is so fascinating about Japan, is that they have so many of these ancient traditions that have remained unchanged. And so it's led to some of these most beautiful historic sites. And yet, should they change some of their traditions and change some of these rules?
What do you guys think? And now it's time for the kanji of the week. This week we are doing iriguchi and deguchi. Of course, iriguchi meaning entrance and deguchi meaning exit. Let's say you have two doors. One says iriguchi and one says deguchi. You kind of need to know which way is the flow of traffic.
And now for anyone looking for a last-minute gift for their traveling buddy, our gift this week is a battery pack.
Yay!
These are super important. This one I have here is the Keimashi. It's 15,000 milliamps, and that equates to about 4 charges on a cell phone.
Anyway, this has been super helpful for us on our trips to Japan. We're constantly taking photos and videos. Maybe we have our pocket Wi-Fi with us that we need to charge. And it will last us all day, and maybe then some, depending. So, highly recommend if you guys are as big video and photo buffs as we are.
It's got a ton of battery power to it. We'll leave a link to the Keimashi below. We've also used the Anker in the past. Really, anything that's in that 13,000, 15,000 milliamp range will do you just fine.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us, you guys, for this weekly update. We will definitely see you next week. Let us know what videos that we might have missed this week and that you want to share with us all, especially Catbug.
See ya.
Bye.